Hey, what's going on, you guys? I'm back. I'm back. Good to be back. All my UFC fans out there, much respect to you. Love goes out. Support MMA. You feel me? Hey, it's a hell of a sport, man. And I'm glad to be doing videos about it right here. But right now, man, before I even get started, I just want to let you guys know that this video is going to go into two parts, maybe even three. But for right now, it's looking like two. It's not that the video is going to be real long. It's just that I can't record past 6 minutes for some strange reason. I don't know why, but I got to figure this whole thing out. But so before you make a judgment, on this video and leave your naive comment, and you haven't even watched, all the videos, please watch all the videos before you make a judgment. And I'm not talking to the person who left the comment about the video. I'm just talking about all the people who are going to watch it. I just want to, reply to a couple of people that I've been getting messages about from a couple of videos, and one of those videos is George St. Pierre versus Anderson Silva. Now, let me just say here, look, I appreciate you watching the video. Much respect. I really appreciate that. So, my respect goes out to you just for even watching the video. But I can't respect you for judging me and saying I don't know about MMA. Man, I'll be the first one to tell you, man, I know a hell of a lot about MMA and fighting, period. I'm not going to tell you how, but I'm just letting you know, man, I know a lot about MMA. Just believe me when I tell you that. You may say, well, you don't sound like it. Well, hey, it's whatever it sounds like. I have my opinion. You have yours. But I respect your opinion. I respect your opinion enough to do a video about it. So check this out, man. I just want to say, I know a lot of you guys out there look up to George St. Pierre. He's your hero. He's your little Superman. I don't know what the deal is. It's just like a lot of people look up to Brock Lesnar. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But when you become untouched with reality here, and the reality that the media and the UFC and a lot of people hype certain fighters just to make them seem like they're better than what they really are. I hate to tell you, you become detached with reality here. You got to know that some of these guys in the UFC are not as big and bad as they appear to be on TV. How do you know they're fighting a legitimate tough guy? You don't know who they're fighting. They could be fighting bums for all you know. Bums that make it look like they just can fight real good. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a damn how much time you put in the gym, how much practice and how much rolling around on the mat you do. I give you respect for having the guts to get in that octagon and fight, and that is about it. All this other hype, I'll decide whether that hype is true or not when I watch you perform. And let me tell you, I'll be the first one to tell you, George St. Pierre is a great fighter and a great athlete. But is he overly hyped? Yes, he is. He's not the best wrestler in MMA. He may be the best wrestler in the welterweight division, and that's about it. And that being said, I don't think that there's a lot of great wrestlers in the welterweight division. The only great wrestler I see outside of GSP is Josh Koscheck and John Fitch. And John Fitch, he's a mediocre wrestler, if you ask me. He's good, but John Fitch is, I gotta say, man, he's overhyped. You can't say John Fitch is a great fighter just because he beat a lot of guys in the UFC. I believe that there's a lot of guys out there who haven't even been brought to the forefront yet, who's not in the UFC, who hasn't even they're still in the gym working on their game right now, but they're still great fighters. Just like there's guys all over the world who can play basketball, street ball, but they'll never get a chance to shine in the NBA. They could probably walk up and down a lot of guys in the NBA. Just because these guys are in the NBA doesn't mean they're the absolute best, and that's just the truth. So the UFC, they have a lot of hype around their fighters, and you need to know that. And not just the UFC, and a lot of sports, period. A lot of, and just everywhere, a lot of organizations in MMA. And that being said, I think that Matt Hughes is one of the most overrated people in MMA of all time. I do like him though, but he is very much overrated. I don't give a damn. You can say, oh, how is a guy overrated? He holds the most win for the most title defenses in UFC history, or in MMA and welterweight history, period. Whatever. Look, what the hell does that mean? I can go out on the street and beat up 100 people and none of them being able to fight very good, and I hold the title for beating up the most people. Does that make me a great fighter? No, it doesn't. Although I am a great fighter, but yeah. But now, just a little humor right there for y'all, love, But on some real shit, don't ever believe the hype of Joe Rogan and Mike Goldberg, Dana White, in the UFC, because they will hype up a guy to make him seem like he is the greatest fighter of all time, just like they're trying to say Brock Lesnar is the greatest heavyweight in MMA of all time. You know, George St. Pierre is a great fighter, great athlete, but he is a bit overrated. And if he fights Anderson Silva, he will get annihilated, and I'm not taking that back. Anderson Silva has a fight coming up with Chael Sonnen. Listen, I don't know what's going to happen in this fight. I can honestly say I made a video about this, giving Chael Sonnen no chance, but I have to think, sometimes fixed fights go on, and yes, people do fix fights, and you would say, what would Anderson Silva have to gain if he loses against a guy like Chael Sonnen? Oh, basically, if you say that, you don't know a damn thing about sports, because sometimes they have a lot of fixed fights going on in sports and in MMA and a lot of other sports as well, just because you may be picking a guy to win. A lot of us, okay, let's just face it, a lot of us are picking Anderson Silva to go in there and slaughter Chael Sonnen. But if Chael Sonnen goes in there and pulls a Matt Serra and he actually beats Anderson Silva, guess what? When it's time for that rematch, tickets are going to go through the roof. It's going to go sky high, because we're all going to be interested, and we're all going to want to know if Anderson Silva can come back and get his belt back against a dickhead like Chael Sonnen. So trust me, I don't know if this fight is going to be fixed or not. But if this fight is not fixed, and it is a straight up fight, and they don't have anything to do with it, no politics involved, that being said, Chael Sonnen has no fucking chance, period. So I'm going to tell you right now, George St. Pierre better stay his ass in that welterweight division and be overhyped like he is, from beating up a lot of guys like Dan Hardy, John Fitch, whose hands is not John Fitch hands are not all that great. You know, I like John Fitch and I respect him for what he's done, but let's just be honest. You know, the guys that he had beat, just name the guys. To me, the only guy that I can really say that he is beaten, you know, that really, you know, stands out to me is Thiago Alves. And to me, Thiago Alves is an overhyped fighter as well. You know, he's knocked a few people out, but the people he's knocked out, they're not that good to me. I don't give a damn. Carl Parisian has some great judo, but he's okay, man. There's a lot of overhyped fighters in the UFC, and you guys need to think outside the box. It's a lot of good fighters, and I respect these guys for getting in the cage, but these guys are overhyped. Period. George St. Pierre is overhyped. You want to say George St. Pierre has some of the greatest ground and pound in the game? Who the fuck has he ground and pound recently? You know, who the fuck? Besides BJ Penn, you know what I'm saying? And you know, somebody like Matt Serra, guys that are way smaller than he is. You know, George St. Pierre is afraid to even stand up with BJ Penn. A small guy, like, even though BJ Penn has some great hands, he's afraid to stand up with him. And just because people say, oh, BJ Penn is one of the best to ever fight, man, look, BJ Penn is a great fighter, but still, man, like, who the fuck has BJ Penn beat? You know what I'm saying? Who? Matt Hughes? Kenny Florian? Man, what the fuck? Who? I know he beat a shitload of people over in Japan and a lot of people in the MMA. I respect BJ Penn. BJ Penn is one of my favorite fighters, but it's a lot of hype around all of these fighters in the UFC. Let's just get this straight here. You know what I'm saying? There's guys on the street, man, that you wouldn't even believe, man, that could kick these guys' asses. But just because they're in the cage fighting, you know, we all think that this shit is, you know, somehow these guys are invisible. You know what I'm saying? Invincible. You feel me? You guys got to get your heads out of your fucking asses. You know what I'm saying? And recognize this shit for what it is. You know, I'll whoop George St. Pierre's ass. Plain and simple. You know what I'm saying? Whether you believe that or not, that's your problem. But I'll kick his ass. You know what I'm saying?